Hello everyone. In today's lesson, we'll be looking into questions in relation to maps, tables, forms, notes, etc. So, how to do these completion questions? Your first step should be to read the instructions carefully. Second, look at the table or map or note or form, etc. carefully before the recording starts. As you do this, examine any headings or subheadings. Work out what you're going to listen out for. Decide what you need to hear. Anticipate grammatical form and vocabulary. If there is a box of answers given, try to guess the matches and eliminate the unlikely ones. Listen to the introductions carefully. Answer the question as you listen. And lastly, make notes beside the question if you are unsure of the answer. Remember, if there is a box of answers given, there will be at least 2 of them that you don't need. If there is no box, your answer could be 1 word, 2 words, or 3 words, but not more than that. If you think you need more than 3 words, your answer is probably incorrect. So, let's start practicing.
You will hear a communication studies student talking to his tutor about optional courses for the next semester.
Come in. Oh, hello, Jack. Have a seat. Right. You said you wanted to see me to talk about your options next semester?
That's right. We have to decide by the end of next week. Really, I'd like to do all 5 options, but we have to choose 2, don't we?
Yes, but the choice depends on your major, to some extent. You're majoring in communication studies, aren't you?
That's right.
So, for example, the media studies option will cover quite a lot of the same area you did in the core module on mass communications this semester, the development of the media through the last 2 centuries in relation to political and social issues.
Well, that was interesting, but I've decided I'd rather do something completely new. There's a women's studies option, isn't there?
Yes, Women and Power. Again, it has a historical focus. It aims to contextualize women's studies by looking at the legal and social situation in the 19th and early 20th centuries.
So it would be useful if I intended to specialise in women's studies, but I'm not sure I do actually.
Well, it might still be useful to give you an idea of the issues involved. It's taught by Dr. Steed.
Oh, really? I'll sign up for that then. What about the option on culture and society?
That addresses the historical debate on the place of culture since the Industrial Revolution in Britain.
So a historical focus again?
Do I get the message you're not so keen on history?
Well, it's just that we seem to have done quite a lot this semester. Anyway, I'll think about that one.
If you're interested in a course focusing on current issues, there's the option on identity and popular culture. That approaches the subject through things like contemporary film, adverts, soap operas, and so on.
That sounds interesting. Can you tell me who runs it?
Well, it's normally Dr. Stevens, but he's on sabbatical next semester, so I'm not sure who will be running it. It should be decided by next week, though.
Right. Well, I might wait until then to decide. And the last option is Introduction to Cultural Theory, isn't it? I'm quite interested in that too. I was talking to one of the second-year students, and she said it was really useful. It made a lot of things fall into place.
Yes, but in fact, in your major, you'll have covered a lot of that already in Communications 102, so that might be less useful than some of the others.
Oh, I'll forget about that one then.
Now, while you're here, we could also discuss how you're getting on with your core module assignment. You'll hear the librarian of a new town library talking to a group of people who are visiting the library.
Okay, everyone. So, here we are at the entrance to the town library. My name is Anne, and I'm the chief librarian here, and you'll usually find me at the desk just by the main entrance here. So, I'd like to tell you a bit about the way the library is organised and what you'll find where. And you should all have a plan in front of you. Well, as you see, my desk is just on your right as you go in. And opposite this, the first room on your left has an excellent collection of reference books and is also a place where people can read or study peacefully. Just beyond the librarian's desk on the right is a room where we have up-to-date periodicals such as newspapers and magazines. And this room also has a photocopier, in case you want to copy any of the articles. If you carry straight on, you'll come into a large room, and this is the main library area. There is fiction in the shelves on the left, and non-fiction materials on your right, and on the shelves on the far wall, there is an excellent collection of books relating to local history. We're hoping to add a section on local tourist attractions too, later in the year. Through the far door in the library, just past the fiction shelves, is a seminar room, and that can be booked for meetings or talks. And next door to that is the children's library, which has a good collection of stories and picture books for the under-11s. Then there's a large room to the right of the library area. That's the multimedia collection, where you can borrow DVDs and so on. And we also have CD-ROMs you can borrow to use on your computer at home. It was originally the art collection, but that's been moved to another building. And that's about it. Oh, there's also the library office on the left of the librarian's desk. OK. Now, does anyone have any questions? Yes, thank you, sir. Section 2. You will hear a radio broadcast called Focus on the Arts. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16 on page 4. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 16.
Hello, and welcome to Focus on the Arts. I'm your host, Dave Green, and this is your very own local radio programme. Every Friday evening, we put the spotlight on different arts and culture facilities and look at the shows and events that are on offer in the coming week. And today, the focus is on the National Arts Centre. Now, if you don't already know it yourself, I'm sure you've all heard of it. It's famous throughout the world as one of the major venues for classical music. But did you know that it's actually much more than just a place to hear concerts? The centre itself is a huge complex that caters for a great range of arts. Under a single roof, it houses concert rooms, theatres, cinemas, art galleries, and a wonderful public library, as well as service facilities including 3 restaurants and a bookshop. So, at any one time, the choice of entertainment there is simply enormous. So, how did they manage to build such a big arts complex right in the heart of the city? Well, the area was completely destroyed by bombs during the war in 1940. So the opportunity was taken to create a cultural centre that would be what they called the city's gift to the nation. Of course, it took a while for such a big project to get started, but it was planned in the 60s, built in the 70s, and eventually opened to the public in 1983. Ever since then, it has proved to be a great success. It's not privately owned, like many art centres, but is still in public hands. It's run by the City Council. Both our National Symphony Orchestra and National Theatre Company were involved in the planning of the project, and they're now based there, giving regular performances every week. And as the centre is open 363 days of the year, there are plenty of performances to choose from.
Before you hear the rest of the broadcast, you have some time to look at questions 17 to 20 on page 5. Now listen and answer questions 17 to 20.
So, To give you some idea of what's on, and to help you choose from the many possibilities, we've made a selection of the star attractions. If you're interested in classical music, then we recommend you go along to the National on either Monday or Tuesday evening at 7:30 for a spectacular production of The Magic Flute, probably the most popular of all Mozart's operas. It's in the Garden Hall, and tickets start at only £8, but you'll have to be early if you want to get them that cheap. And remember, it's only on for those 2 evenings. For those more interested in the cinema, you might like to see the new Canadian film, which is showing on Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. in Cinema 2, and that's called 3 Lives. It's had fantastic reviews, and tickets cost just £4.50, which is a reduction on the usual price of £5.50. So it's really good value, especially for such a great movie. But you can see the centre's main attraction at the weekend, because on Saturday and Sunday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m, they're showing a wonderful new exhibition that hasn't been seen anywhere else in Europe yet. It's a collection of Chinese art called Faces of China. That's in Gallery 1, and it has some really fascinating paintings and sculptures by leading artists from all over China. And the good news is that it's completely free, so don't miss it. So why not go along to the National Arts Centre next week for one or all of these great events? And you can always pick up a programme and check out all the other performances and exhibitions on offer, or coming soon, on almost every day of the year. Next week, we'll be looking at the new Museum of Science.
That is the end of section 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers.